Welcome along to the Milestone Training and Coaching Company YouTube series. Today I am focusing on your stress levels and coping with a little bit of pressure. I wanted to start by involving you completely, which is often my way, by asking what are your current levels of stress? Ask yourself out of 10, if 10 is the maximum and 0 is non-existent, chilled out and not an issue at all, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And maybe on average for the last 3 or 4 weeks, let's say 3 weeks. In fact, actually at the time of recording this, we are the 3rd week in of lockdown in the UK of the COVID-19 crisis. You may well be watching this months and months later and it will be all behind us. That doesn't matter. This is still very relevant because stress is an epidemic in itself in us humans. But for the last 3 weeks, let's say, how stressed have you been out of 10? Most people put themselves at above 5. When I do this workshop in front of an audience, on average, I would say most people put themselves at around a 7. In fact, actually, at the moment in the UK, well, 3 weeks ago, prior to the pandemic, 70% of GP consultations were stress-related in one way or another. And stress can have so many different effects. It affects the sleep, it can affect our mental health, it can affect our stomach and digestion, our breathing, our chest, our heart, our blood pressure, everything. So many effects. So in one way or another, 70% of GP consultations had been stress related. So this is a real issue. But today what I'm going to ask you is, do you write a to-do list? Somehow, somewhere? Do you have, maybe you log it on your computer, just a rough list of the things you need to get through today? Do you actually write it on pen and paper? Do you write it the night before and plan your forthcoming day? How do you do your to-do lists or your order of work? It's just a rough idea. Is it a rough idea in your head? When I'm doing this in front of a live audience, the majority put their hands up to yes, they do in some form or another write a to-do list, which is excellent. In time management, when I'm doing time management workshops, I always recommend that is a wise thing to do. And then from there to prioritize the order of work, the key priorities, and to crack on with those first. However, just generally at the moment, looking at stress, I'm asking you, do you write a to-do list? And I'm prepared to hazard the guess that you probably do in some form or another. So I'm working on that proviso. From this, though, I want to ask you, do you put me time or self-care or chilling out, relaxing time on your to-do list? And at the moment, most of my audience put their hand down at this point. The majority of people that I coach one-to-one or coach in an audience or in a team session say they do not add on their to-do list. Probably only about 1 or 2% do themselves, their recharging time, their me time, or self-care. So I'm going to work on that basis that you probably don't. And the question is, why not? Not only should we put me time on that to-do list, it should be, I'm going to suggest, should be at the top. Now, for many of you, that would fill you with horror and shock. Sorry, wrong way. Me time or self-care, whatever you want to call it, whatever the media hype is referring to it as lately, it is often when you're stressed, the first thing that goes out of the window. But the irony is, it's the thing that should be increased. The irony is the last thing that should go out the window, but the reality isn't that way at all. The irony is, it's the most crucial thing that we need. The more stressed we are, the more me time we need to be able to cope. But that's often not the way it is. It often goes in opposite ways, totally. And now, so this might be, it goes against the grain perhaps of what you think. It may sit uncomfortably for you. But let me tell you why I think it's important. I will get the right order of the slides in a second. Let's say you take your camera on holiday, which at the moment is a thing of our dreams to go on holiday because we can't travel. But let's say ordinarily in normal times, we take our camera on holiday and we take hundreds of snaps. We snap away beautiful scenes, maybe selfies, family shots, whatever it is. Keep snapping. But if we don't plug that camera into the wall in the evening, and recharge it, or if it's our phone, we don't recharge it, or replace the batteries. If we don't, that camera will run out of energy, will run out of charge, and will basically stop working. It will basically cease being a camera in a sense, because you can no longer get the pictures out that are already in there, nor can you take any additional photos. So in a sense, it's non-functioning camera. And because we have to charge it to be able to carry on continuing it, to use it as it's made to be used. Now, we are the same thing. We are just a ball of energy. Everything's just a ball of energy. This door's a ball of energy. Your table, your desk, you are just a ball of energy. And us humans, we give out and give out and give out all day long to all of those people that need from us, whether it's our work and our team and our customers, our boss, whether it's our family, if we have children, to the children, husbands, wives, if we have older generation parents that we're also, if we're in that sandwich generation that the media like to refer to it as, we're caring for our elderly relatives as well, perhaps. Pets. Just friends, social, we might be on a committee, we might volunteer with something. So we're giving out and giving out, and that's the way we are. But if we don't recharge, we are going to be like that camera. So this is our everyday normal energy output. That's a normal day with our normal customers, our normal workload, the children, the home, the spouse, elderly parents, whatever it is, and we give out and give out and give out, and we maintain that at a normal output, healthy output. We can cope with that, and then we have our evening off perhaps, and we have dinner, and we recharge, and we go to bed and we sleep, and that's normal average day. But what happens often is we get some things that come in left field that drain us or zap us of our energy. And they might be large things that might drain us and put us into a -4 or a -5. Or they might be small, just little issues that are annoying and just drain us of our energy a little bit, just a -1 or a 2. But we get a variation of them. And these things come in left field. A customer wants extra work sooner than they'd said, or they brought the deadline forward, or the boss lands something on your, in addition to the workload you've already got, he lands something else that's on your desk that's got to be done by lunchtime. Or in normal times, you're at work and the nursery phones and says your little one has been vomiting, could you please come and pick them up? Or your elderly parent has had a fall. You've got loads of meetings today, then you get a phone call saying they've had a fall and you've got to go and help. Or the mother-in-law phones and says, we thought we would come and stay this weekend. And you think, no, not this weekend. We've got this to do and that sports match to get the kids to, and ballet, and I've got some extra work I need to do, and I was going to do this in the garden and whatever. And these drain us. These come left field, or a customer phones with a problem, or the dog's ill and you've got to take them to the vet and you were meant to be at meetings, whatever it is. And so we need to consciously re-energize. We need to bring some pluses in order to maintain that nice, healthy level line in the middle there that you can see. So we need to consciously self-manage. We often can't manage our stress. Stress management itself is a bit of a myth. What we can manage is our response to the stressors. Lots of things will come our way. Traffic will pile up. We will get stuck in traffic when we're late for a meeting. Our internet will crash when we're in the middle of a Zoom conference, or our car will break down when we're meant to be somewhere, or the children will get poorly. Often can't manage those stresses. They're out of our control often, but we can manage the way we react to them. So we have to self-manage, and we have to bring in some plus fives, twos, ones to maintain that level of output, healthy energy output. So what are your re-energizers? What are the good things that come in your life that give you, re-energize you, reboost you, recharge you, or your me time? Because if you don't bring those pluses in to counteract the minuses that deplete our energy, you are going to end up with a long-term energy depletion. And this is where it affects our immune system. This is where it begins to affect our health. This is where we start to have GP appointments because we're not sleeping, we're not digesting properly, we've got constant stomach pain and IBS, or we've got chest pains and breathing issues and feel totally asthmatic all the time because it's stress, or blood pressure problems, or whatever it is. Stress related because we're running at a minus, we're running with our energy depleted all the time because we're not self-managing and we're not bringing in those pluses. So my question to you is, what are your re-energizers? Because self-care, therefore, is not a luxury. It's actually a necessity. You have to put yourself first. You have to re-energize in order to recharge your batteries, a bit like that camera. You have to be able to plug that camera in to be able to use it tomorrow. You've got to recharge your energies in order to be able to give to all those people that need from you, your customers, your bosses, your team, your family, your children, your relatives, your elderly parents, the committees, the pets, your friends, your social. You have to recharge, and therefore self-care me time isn't a luxury. It is an absolute necessity. That's why you and your self-care and your me time should be on your to-do list. And in fact, it should be at the top of your to-do list. It is a priority, because if you don't look after you, something will happen. Trust me, I'm speaking from experience, and also experience of many, many clients. If you keep going at that rate, if you keep going at that negative energy output, you will either fall ill, properly ill, not just a doctor's GP appointment, but properly ill, and be in bed. Your body will stop you. It will put you in bed for a week or two with an illness, or worse, it will put you in hospital with a serious illness, heart attack and things like that I'm referring to here. This is what happened for me. I was going full pelt for weeks and weeks. A dad with dementia, 2 young children, running a business, running a home, etc., etc., etc. I'm a type A personality. I'm always on the go. I never relax. And I, without any warning whatsoever, fell critically ill and found myself transferred after collapsing to a specialist hospital in London, and was literally fighting for my life in intensive care, not expected to live. And it was hard. It was a real alarm call. It was a real knock on my door to say, you cannot keep going at this pace. Because if I hadn't survived, I'd have been no good to my children. I'd have been no good to my dad with dementia at the time. And I realised I have to look after myself. I have to put self-care on my to-do list. I have to make sure I do something every day to recharge my batteries and look after me. So you can't, just remember, you cannot pour from an empty jug. So we can do it short term. There may be crises. Your elderly mother may have had a fall and you have to put everything else on hold and be there for her. Of course you do. Or the children may be ill or something like that. But you can't keep going long term at that rate. You have to have time to chill, relax, recharge, put yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty jug. So don't feel guilty. So my question is, what are your re-energizers? I love one of my re-energizers, which I've done today already, is a walk in the countryside, out in the fresh air, no matter what the weather, rain, shine, gales, no matter what the weather. I love being outside in nature with the dog. In fact, actually, I was out with the dog this morning. Beautiful sunrise, gorgeous weather, and took the time to do that and record my podcast. So I was out in nature, getting fresh air, getting vitamin D, relaxing, being by myself. It's when I'm most creative. So with my phone, I actually recorded a podcast. So I am working, but I'm chilled out, creative, and enjoying it. And I'm with my little mate, and she is the joy of my life. She brings so much laughter and happiness and affection. So walking the dog is a re-energizer. Equally, I love a long soak in the bath with a good book. That's calming and very relaxing. You can do deep breathing, and I often do square breathing while I'm in the bath to calm down the heart rate, calm down the blood pressure and the breathing, which is very good for you. I love, when we're not in lockdown, meeting a good friend in a push, or going for a push coffee, a coffee shop, and treating ourselves and having a catch up. Music can be very uplifting or very relaxing or very energizing, depending on what type of music you opt for. Some friends, we've all got friends that are a drain and that drain us of our energy and pour all their problems out, very doom and gloom. Don't see them at this time. Manage yourself. Go to those friends who really recharge you. I've got one particular friend who, whenever I'm on the phone to her, my husband knows I'm on the phone to her, even though I haven't said her name, because you can tell, because I speak faster, I speak more energetically, I'm louder, and there's something about her energy that completely re-energizes me. It's infectious. So you could be that person that spreads it, is infectious to others. Some people love to cook or bake. That actually stresses me out because I'm not a very good cook. So it doesn't chill me out. But fishing, some people love to stand on the river and do night fishing or go fishing by themselves. Sport can re-energize. I love running. It re-energizes me. I've equally also this morning been out for a 40-minute run today, which has re-energized it. Some people love cycling. Some people love running. Some people love classes, yoga, relaxation classes, meditation, whatever your thing is. My question to you is, what is your re-energizers or re-energizer, or what are your re-energizers? I would suggest now that you literally write a list out, like mine here, of what yours are. We'll go to rechargers. You'll go to recharging people as well. Who are those people? Who are the drains? So that you can consciously build it into your schedule. You can meet them for lunch in your lunch break. You could meet them for a quick drink or a bite to eat at the weekend, something like that. Just take an hour. And even if you've got children, don't feel guilty. Lots of mums that I coach say, yeah, but I should be with the children at the weekend. Yes, but do a little shift. You and your husband negotiate it. He has an hour off to do whatever he does. You have an hour off, and then you have some family time. The children will benefit from a better you, stronger and more calmer and more relaxed and more energized you than a stressed mum or dad, whichever. So too, if you're a daughter or a son or a husband or a wife, your partners, your spouses, your parents, your children, and your team will benefit. If you work, then take a lunch break. So many clients that I work with are stressed. That's why we're working together. And when I ask them, do you take a lunch break? Well, yeah, I get a lunch break, but I often don't take it. I often just sit and eat my sandwich. Why? Why do you do that? Well, because they think they'll lose 40 minutes or an hour of productivity. If they take their lunch break, they'll lose that time of output. Not true. All of the time time management studies show that by taking that 40 minutes, half an hour, and going for a walk, energizing, de-stressing, going outside, being with nature, getting some oxygen to the brain, and getting away from your stresses, getting away from your work, you actually, if you look at it on a graph, if you look at it, you don't drop by an hour, you actually gain and more output because you're more energized, you're de-stressed, you're refocused, you've got oxygen to your brain, you're more creative. So you don't lose that time, you actually gain that time. And if you're not having your lunch break, whether it's half an hour lunch break, a 45-minute one, or whatever you're entitled to, an hour, if you give that up each day, add that up over a week, times that by 4 for a month, times that by 12 for a year. How much are you giving of your time that is actually your time, giving to your employer, and therefore suffering from increased stress, decreased sleep, decreased health, decreased mental health and well-being, decreased output and productivity. Whereas if you took that with a clear conscience and benefited from the good mental health, the increased productivity, the increased oxygen, the better breathing, the better sleep, the better weight, the better appetite, all of those things that you get from going for a 45-minute brisk walk, put an iPod, earphones on and listen to a podcast that re-energizes you or teaches you something or motivates you, inspires you, or put music on that de-stresses you and energizes you, or go for a walk with a friend that re-energizes you and gives you laughter, and etc, etc. You can, so it's a double whammy. You may be listening to music and walking and nature and all the rest of it. So that 45-minute lunch break is not selfish. You're not letting your bosses down or looking like you're less committed. You're actually more committed, because you will produce much more in the afternoon and be much more effective and professional than you would have been if you stay eating a sandwich and just analysis paralysis. It doesn't benefit anybody. So try it for a week. If we're not in lockdown when you watch this, try it for the next week or two, having a lunch break, going for a brisk walk with good music or a podcast or a good friend. See how your productivity increases, see how your sleep increases and your appetite increases and your health and your well-being. Try it. Trust me, it works. Or if you're a mum and you're at home and you've got toddler, take the toddler out for a walk. Instead of putting them up in the cot for a lunchtime nap, you take them out in the pushchair for a lunchtime nap. Listen to some stuff, audiobooks. Lots of mums say to me, no, I don't read, I'm too tired to read. Audiobooks, download them, let someone narrate to you. When the little one's asleep or the children are playing, listen to them. While you're ironing, I listen to audiobooks while I'm driving, playing out loud on the speaker. I listen to podcasts all the time. I listen to inspiring stuff, educational stuff, interesting stuff, upbeat stuff, funny stuff, audiobooks, all of that when I'm mopping floors, ironing, walking, running, driving, because I do the school run all the time, the college run. So I do get input, other people's thoughts, other people's opinions, news topics, comedy topics from Radio 4, news quizzes, audiobooks, etc. So it's not that we have to stop and read a book. If you're on a commuter train, you could listen to an audiobook. Or a podcast. It's all out there. Lots of it is free, just thinking outside of the box. So write down now what your re-energizers are and build them into your schedule. Build them into every day. And do not feel guilty. So the golden rule of me time is no guilt allowed. And if you need permission from somebody, then take it from me. Take it. Say, my coach, you can literally say that, I don't mind. My life coach has said it's a necessity, it's essential, it's a priority, and do not allow guilt. Negotiate with your other half how you can do this with children. Negotiate with your boss where you can build it in and that you're going to have your lunch break. If you're the boss, you lead from the front. You start doing this so that it filters out to the rest of your team. Encourage your team to take their lunch break. Go as a team. Do walk and talk meetings together. Don't sit in a stuffy meeting room around a table for an hour long just saying the same things. Do a walk and talk meeting. If you're in lockdown at the moment, take advice from one of my clients who was telling me that she has lots of calls, conference calls on the phone. She now because she's in lockdown and working from home, she has them outside. She sits outside on the patio and does all calls outside so that she's getting that fresh air, that vitamin D boost from the sun, and coming back into the house to work on her spreadsheets or whatever she's working on, proposals or whatever, with renewed energy, with the fresh air. So we can do this in lockdown or out of lockdown, but it's definitely essential, helpful and worth doing. So that's the lesson for this YouTube edition. Drop me a line, dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk, to let me know how it's going. If you try this for a week, a fortnight, drop me a line and say whether it's really helped and how it's helped, and how you've built it in, how you've been flexible and built it in, like she has, by taking the calls outside. She had already begun to, before lockdown, to do walk and talk meetings, and she and her husband has already started to do a lot of walking at the weekends. You can get the kids out on their bikes and trikes, take them out, get the dog out more. You never ever feel worse when you've been for a walk. No one ever says, oh, really wish I hadn't gone on that walk. Everybody always feels better for going for a walk. So enjoy your new strategy. Let me know how you get on, and just enjoy it. Don't see it as a chore. See it as a plus, and embrace it. And good luck. All the very best. Take care now.